Hey guys, and welcome to Console's autumn release webinar. I'm Matt McGowan. I'm the Chief Product Officer here with Reapit. And with me, I have Helen Morris, Head of Product as Console.
Hi, everyone.
Guys, this is our 17th webinar. We deliver this webinar every 3 months. We're really excited to share with you what we've been working on, as well as just running through what's coming up in the next 3 to 4 months. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. For those of you who haven't been part of our webinar series before, there's a Q&A button down in the bottom right-hand corner. And, we encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar. If there's something you want to get a bit more information on, one of our product team will answer those questions live. If there's anything that we don't get to during the webinar, we'll come back to it at the end of the webinar and we'll try and answer your questions then. So there's a lot of you online. If we're taking a little bit of time, it's because there's a lot of Q&A and we're trying to get answers back to everybody. Having said that, this is a really high level overview. We're really only talking about what we've built over the last 3 to 4 months. If you need a further demo, we've got a lot of customers who aren't console yet online as well. We encourage you to book in with our sales team, and there'll be some correspondence sent out after the webinar with the recording, as well as next steps if you want to either take up one of our other products or book in for your console cloud demo. So the format, it's the same format we've been running for the last 4 years. We're going to look at what we delivered in the last quarter. We're going to demo some of the bigger items. We're going to talk about some of the behind the scenes changes we're making. And a lot of those behind the scenes relate to integrations with our product suite. We're going to talk about what we're working on this quarter. And we're going to have a bit of a sneak peek at some of those things just to get you really excited and get you ready for what's coming down the console cloud pipeline. Before we get into that though, I think it's always good just to reflect on our North Star. We're your technology partner in property management. And I think it's important you understand how we kind of view the world and what we're trying to do to help your business succeed. So I've got our 5 dot points up there. The first is to really make material savings in time to your business. We're not looking to save 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. We want to actually give you back 2 days a week in your work life. And that's one of our focuses. And that's why we focus so much on workflows. Now, if you're already using Console Cloud and you're redlining the capabilities in the suite, you're using automated rental collections, automated receipting with Console Pay. You're using our end-to-end automated lease renewal workflow where the DocuSign is bringing the lease back into the product. You're using the automated arrears for rentals and invoices. You're using paperless inspections.
Compliance, automated compliance as well.
You're using our automated property compliance workflow. And these things are all saving our customers, especially our super users, significant time in their day-to-day life. And we'll be touching on a couple of the integrations that we've got in the pipeline at the moment with some of our other products. And that's designed to save you even more time. Reduce the need to enter information into multiple systems. Look, if we do an integration, we want it to be a smart integration. We don't want you cross-keying information. That's not the intention. Systems should do what systems are good at when they're talking to each other, and that's reduced double handling of information. Number 3 is best in market reporting. And I think if you're using Console Cloud and familiar with our Analytics Plus platform, you've seen that evolve over the last 2 years, and we continue to invest in that platform to give you the reports that you need to improve the performance of your business. Look, your customers, your tenants and your owners, we recognize how important they are to you, and it's our job to make sure you look good to them. And we take a lot of pride in delivering market-leading tenant app that looks beautiful and is functional, as well as a market-leading owner portal. And they're not just beautiful, but they're also, help your customers, your owners and your tenants self-serve. Again, designed to save you time. And the last thing, we want Console Cloud customers to be successful, and we want you to grow either through acquisition or organically. And we want to give you the tools that to help you grow. So you're not constrained. We give you additional APIs, our open APIs available to extend the capability of Console Cloud. And we're going to touch on some of our custom data elements today as well, all designed to give you more flexibility as you grow. I guess just to call out, since we were last here, we've added some additional, and we'll add an additional business to our product suite and our Reapit group. And that's the Inspect Real Estate team and the Move Me In team. So from left to right, now within the Reapit group and where we're focusing on our integrations, it's Agent Box for those people who are looking for the cleanest CRM data. Big, heavy focus on the single contact record. We've also got solutions, if you want to deliver really beautiful proposals to your customers, our Proposal Point product, pre-listing kits on the sales side of the business, websites, and Helen will give you a little update on how cloud integrates with our websites business. Obviously, Console Cloud, all-in-one trust accounting and property management workflow product designed to give you back more time in your day. Inspect Real Estate, an absolute powerhouse in the application processing world, and not just processing the applications, but actually capturing the application, processing the application, booking your OF5s, and a really great addition to our team. And Move Me In, which is our connections business. It's not just an additional revenue stream for your business, but also Move Me In, the team at Move Me In have a real commitment to making sure your tenants get a better deal. So a really nice little add-on to your property management business. You take all those things and you map it out into, the real estate ecosystem. And we're really proud to be able to offer our customers, both our existing customers and our future customers, a one-stop shop for their real estate business. And it's our job to bring these products together, but you can see all the way from prospecting for a listing to managing the property sale to looking for, property seekers, bringing the property seekers into IRE, helping them find a property, leasing the property, helping them get connections and managing that property. And then, through the Move Me Out process, end to end, we're really pleased to be able to offer the whole gamut of product that you require in your real estate agent within Reapit. But enough chit chat. That's a bit of background. Look, it's really important. This is the main part of our presentation. When we were here last time, this is the roadmap we presented. Helen, do you want to pick it up?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Matt. We have had a busy quarter. So probably the biggest thing that we released was our new and improved bills workflow. So that was really designed to simplify things and give you a lot more control. We'll look into that in a little bit more detail in this webinar. We've also got the custom data fields. Now, that's something we'll also show you, but we released that, the first installment of that towards the end of last year, and we've now taken feedback and extended that to give you more capability to customize Console Cloud. We'll also talk a lot about communications and give you a bit of a sneak peek on what we're doing with that. That's really centered around our inbox feature, so we'll show you a little bit more of that. Console Go, and now that's something that I think potentially a lot of people don't actually realize they can utilize with cloud. We have our Go Inspect app, which is an extension of Console Go. But if you have any level of subscription to Console Cloud, you can actually use the Console Go app and it's included in your subscription. So we've added some new features to that in the last few months, but it's important to note that, you can access your properties, your contacts in your pocket, and it's all part of your cloud subscription. So just go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and you can use your cloud credentials to log into that app. And really it's cloud in your pocket. And we are looking to extend that even further. So we've also done some quality of life improvements
for our property managers.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, all designed to make things easier for you. So we'll look at the new statements that are coming very soon and talk about some security enhancements and some trust accounting improvements that we've made. As well as, like Matt mentioned, I'll give you a little look at the portal pushing or managing your advertising listings on your Agent Point website. If you're a client who has a nice Agent Point website, or if you're looking to refresh your website, that's a feature that will be of interest.
Excellent. Look, I'm going to play this video while I talk. I mentioned the IRE recently, the IRE acquisition. So prior to that acquisition, we're already progressing down the path of doing an integration with the IRE team. So what you're seeing online is the IRE App Tracker application. And what this process will do is all your applications are flowing into this system. Obviously you're processing your applications, you're doing your checks, you're selecting the tenant that will move into the property. And once you've actually selected that tenant, or the tenant who has been selected to go into the property, that information will now come directly into Console Cloud. So we're now in Console Cloud in the applications workflow, and that information is flowing directly into that bottom property. Once I just click this button and it opens up, we'll be able to go into the applications, and from here, we'll be able to pick up the successful applicant and create the tenancy agreement.
Yeah, that's right. So we haven't had to key in any of this data into the workflow in cloud. It's just come automatically across. That's
right. So, the intention is obviously IRE is managing all the pre-leasing activities. And then once the successful tenant has been, agreed, they can come into Console Cloud, and here's where you manage the lease and the property. So a really nice little extension. Again, no more cross-keying. All the information is correct. And it's a really great part of, really great start to the relationship between Console Cloud and IRE.
Absolutely. We'll see that coming into cloud in the next month or so, I think.
Excellent.
Yep. Keep your eyes open for that.
So just before we get into the demo, I'm just going to touch on a couple of the why we've made some of these changes. So streamline bills management. Bills is something that we all manage as property managers. It's been a function in Console Cloud, for obviously several years. Our intention is to take this capability to the next level. We want to give you the option and the ability to manage this process end to end without having to touch a bill. So rules-based bills management. To do that, we've had to make a few changes to the bills workflow. And those are the changes that Helen will be demoing today that have been released just to help you batch process, your bills and really start to streamline that process. But it's foundational for what's coming next, which is the ability to prioritize bills, installment bills, especially for our commercial clients, and the auto processing of bills. And I think probably one of the things that, I will highlight is the intention was really to simplify Console Cloud further. Our industry has gone through a lot of change over the last 3 years. We've had a lot of people leave the industry. We've had a lot of movement with property managers, and we want cloud to be a really easy system to learn, to pick up and start using. So again, with this enhancement to our bills workflow, we've actually been able to retire a couple of screens, and it just keeps making the menu smaller, making it easier to quickly get up to speed with the product. Helen will demonstrate that shortly. Custom data, again, a lot of our customers who are using this capability, they really want to extend the capability of cloud and add more flexibility within their property management business. So it's more than just being able to capture that information. It's being able to access that information and use it for other purposes, and people are doing that through our API. So when we say a read-write API, we mean you can actually electronically pull that information out of cloud and use it somewhere else. And you can use that API to actually write back changes to your custom data fields, which is just another, little piece of the puzzle to give you more flexibility around Console Cloud, especially for our large and growing customers. Helen will demo that. And inbound communications, as we mentioned last time we were here, this is a multi-quarter piece of work. We have early adopters using the product now. I'm going to show you where it is in Console Cloud today. So you'll start to see some of the screens change slightly, I think is the word. Yep. And then when we look at the sneak peeks, I'm going to give you a bit of an overview on where that product is heading. So it's really, really great. But let's get into Console Cloud.
Thanks, Matt. So to start with, we're just going to take a look at the bills workflow. So I'm going to jump into my bills here, the new and improved workflow. Now, I don't have any bills to process yet, but what I did want to highlight to start with is this bills settings link. So this is something that if you're a trust account user or an administrator of your office, you can find this information in your office settings, but we've also put it right at your fingertips at the top of the bills workflow. Now, this is where you are now given some options to control the way that cloud manages bills. So you can use these settings to control the way that cloud handles withholds, and also the way that cloud manages funds transfer when you have multiple properties owned by the same person and you need to process a bill and maybe one property doesn't have enough funds available to pay that bill. This is how you control whether or not cloud will move the funds for you, or whether you want to do that yourself. So again, the bills changes were really around giving you a lot more flexibility and control in how the bills are managed. And I will just jump through now and show you how easy it is to bulk process some bills. So we're going to pick a couple here. Now, these are both urban utility bills. I just chose 2, but Matt, I could have 50, 70 bills that I've scanned in because I might receive all of my urban utility bills in one hit. And as long as they're scanned and on your system, you can import those in. And you'll see here, Cloud has read the information from the bill and it's correctly identified the property. Now, I will just divert a little second because if I chose to pay anyone, I can pay any creditor from Cloud. When I do that, one of the new improvements that we've made is to generate an EFT report. And that report can be used now in conjunction with your ABA file to make sure that when you're making those one-off payments, you're paying the right person.
Yeah.
So I'll just jump back and we can see here, we've got the property. Now this one only has $16.50 available, which is probably not enough to pay this bill. So, but it's giving me the choice whether I want to withhold funds to pay this bill or not. And if I scroll down, I can see it's recorded the creditor automatically for me. I didn't have to type anything. And if I just pop in a description here, that's all I've had to do. If we carry on down, it's identified the dissection from the creditor, pulled off the date, can add an invoice number if I want, and I can choose whether or not I want to include GST. We'll come to that in just a second as well. Now, moving along, I can see here, it's giving me a selection of fees to charge. Now, these are the fees that are set up on the management agreement for this particular owner of this particular property.
Yeah.
So I can see I've got 2 bill fees here. So I'm just going to choose to apply the 5% bill to this urban utilities one. Now, this is making sure that I don't forget to apply a fee and I'm not missing any revenue for my business.
That's right. It's a common process that we've got through all of our workflows. If there are any trigger-based fees based on any workflow like lease renewals, it's the same process. It's pulling it through from the management agreement linked to that property.
That's right, Matt.
Owner.
Yeah. And in this case as well, the property is liable for excess water consumption. So I can choose to on-charge that bill to a tenant. And this is something I wanted to highlight, our bulk processing option. So when I tick this, it will retain the creditor information, the description, the dissection, and one of the additional things we've just included in the last bills release is GST details are now also retained. So if I was processing a large volume of bills for the same creditor, it saves me having to type that information in every time.
Yeah, so this was a big part of the feedback around our bills. Obviously, bills come in cyclic, quarterly or monthly, and you're processing the same type of bill regularly. So now you can that little option, that bulk processing option, is the next step to letting you batch process all of your urban utility bills or all of your water care bills or Sydney Water, anything that's the same.
That's right. So I'll add that one in. And you saw at the beginning, I dragged in 2 bills. So it's now automatically popping up the next one in the queue. Again, I can see that it's pulled the property because I've paid a bill for this creditor previously. The system's remembered that for me. I can see this property has plenty of funds to pay the bill, so not worrying about withholds. It's pulled the creditor, and here is where it's remembered the description that I typed in on the previous bill. So this time I can see there's a due date, the amount, I can cross-check everything with the bill that I'm seeing on the screen, but really I don't have to do anything because it's done it all for me. Now in this case, I want to on-charge this bill to a tenant. So when I click add bill, it's now going to bring up the tenant's invoice. So we've covered this in previous webinars, but you can see here it's remembered where I redacted previously some information. So I'm not showing the tenant, the owner's address, for example. But
a copy of this bill will be sent to the tenant?
Absolutely. Yep, it will. So scrolling down, all I need to do is add the dissection here. Again, it's pulled the amount off. I can edit any of this detail, but if I'm cross-checking it and it's correct, I don't need to do anything. Scrolling down, it's also identified that this tenant is set up to pay their rent and invoices by console pay. So all I have to do now is tick the box. I can see that if there's any preference recorded for this tenant about their choice of how we use console pay for them.
So it's a little pop-up note linked to the tenant.
That's right. Yep. So this is tenant specific. I can see that information here. If there's multiple tenants in the property, I can choose who gets debited. It's going to default to the primary tenant. And it's going to give me a summary here of what's going to happen. So I can see here that a debit is going to be automatically set up to debit the invoice amount that I've set from this tenant and the date that it's going to be debited. So it's really easy, particularly if you've got tenants who are using Console Pay to process these bills. And we've just recently had a look, and we're now processing around $70 million. Sorry, we're now processing
around $50 million
in Console Pay transactions for our tenants every month in cloud. So that's a lot of volume going through that feature.
Yeah, and with some of the customers and some of you online today who are coming onto Console Cloud and Console Pay, will be processing close to $1 billion through Console Pay in the next 12 months.
That's right. And yeah, it's about 70,000 transactions a month, I should correct. Yeah. So when I hit create and send on this, what that's going to do is a few things. Firstly, it's going to send an invoice to the tenant with a copy of this redacted bill included. So the tenant's got all the information. The invoice will also, in this case, it'll indicate that the debit is going to come out automatically. And at the same time, the system is scheduling that debit to occur. So on the date that it was set, that debit is now pre-programmed to come out of the tenant's account on that date. And if the tenant has the Console tenant app, they will also get a push notification to tell them that they have an invoice payment due. So they can touch that and it will open the app for them and give them all the information about whether that bill is scheduled and what date it's due to come out. So yeah, really transparent and really simple to process. Like you can see a large number of invoices in one time.
Yep. And once that payment comes through, it just receipted automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Appears in bulk receipting and matches correctly to the invoice. So next up, we're going to take a look at custom data. So you can see here, it's in your settings. So again, if you're an administrator, you can set this up. Previously, we released the ability to capture custom data for contacts and properties and sale properties. But now you'll see you've got the option to also configure that for owners, tenants, and creditors. So an example of this might be you want to capture your owner's names so that you can personalize your conversations with them, for example.
Your children's names, yeah.
Children's names,
yep.
Sorry. Yep. But really, the idea behind custom data is allowing you to customize Console Cloud to your business's needs. So everybody wants to do things differently, and this allows you that flexibility. You can use it, for example, to capture your tenant's pet details. And something that's actually been quite topical that people are using for creditors is to capture whether or not your creditor is COVID vaccinated. So
again, guys, it's all flexible. You can add sections, you can add additional fields, you can add different field types. It's really up to you how you use it. We've appreciated the feedback that we received about the contacts and properties. And this extension is really based on your feedback. And we've listened, and this is what we've built to assist you manage have a bit more flexibility around the data you capture around your properties, owners, tenants, creditors.
That's right. And if we go down and have a look at a tenant now, you'll see that there is a custom data tab. So I can usually click on that and see any custom data that I've stored against that tenant. Try that one more time. Yep. So I can see here. I
think it just when you refreshed.
Yeah, maybe I've done something wrong when I refreshed. So let me just try that again. Give it one more go. So I can see the information that I've captured here. If this particular tenant has 2 dogs, if I need to update that because they've told us that they only have 1 dog now, I can save that and it's easily updated. Now, something also, if you're wondering how do you use that data or how do I see all of the information that I'm stored, because depending if you're wanting to review how many of your creditors, for example, have your COVID vaccine, on all of the lists, when you export, you can now on the CSV see all of the custom data that you've stored that's associated with the entity. So in this case, I would get all of the custom data that's associated with the tenants in this list when I export it.
And if you're using the API, you can pull it through the API.
Absolutely. Yep. Enterprise clients can use the API to pull any of that custom data and build their own reporting. One other thing that I will just cover as well, Matt, is we know that some clients use the custom data fields to store quite sensitive information. So in your office settings, if you look at your users, you can actually control for every user who has access to your office. You can control whether or not they can see custom data. So for any of these roles, obviously the administrator can see everything, but for your property management and trust accounting roles, for an individual user, you can remove access. So maybe if you have a temporary staff member and you don't want them to see that, you can come in and untick that, and that person won't be able to see the custom data. So now, Matt, over to you for communications.
Awesome. Thanks, Helen. So I'm just going to touch on communications, just where we are. So this is our live account. So you're seeing what's actually in the system today. Now, for those clients who are using our inbound SMS capability, they will already be seeing this type of screen. So, that's a capability you can turn on within Console Cloud in the marketplace. So SMS come back in. We're going to use that same area to start collecting our inbound emails. So you can see this as an example. It'll have a little different icon here, which will be the email icon. You get the information from a bit of contextual information. This person's actually a tenant and an owner. It's come to Brooke and the date that email was received. So we're basically repurposing this area. You'll start to see subtle changes across the communications tab. And when we get to the future part of the roadmap, I'm going to show you where this is going next. So, yep, you'll start to see little subtle changes. Just stay abreast. And, when we're looking for some early adopters, we'll be reaching out to customers who, are regular beta users for us.
Yep.
Part of this work, also just a couple of little enhancements. Again, just quality of life feedback that we've received from you that we've really appreciated. On the timeline, you can now come into the comms timeline and export the detail within the comms timeline. So previously we were giving you just the summary view and not necessarily giving you all the detail. That is now fully exportable. And I've got one that I've opened before, and you'll get the whole email. So if you need to go to tribunal and full communication logs need to be presented, that information is now available to you on export, which is really useful. I'm going to just bring up my phone and just go through a couple of the Console Go enhancements that we've made.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, Console Go really, I think, underutilized. I think if you haven't had a look, you should download it and check it out. It's got, it's really handy to have that information from cloud in your pocket when you're out. Maybe you run into an owner. If you can have that, all those notes to hand.
Yep. So as Helen mentioned, you can come in here and you can, search for all your properties. You can see all your properties. Everything's here. I can see the owner agreements. I can see the tenancy agreements. So I can click on that information. All of the details are there. I can see the inspections, maintenance. I can see the notes. So this is one of the enhancements we've actually made in the app. You will have seen it in Console Cloud previously, but now if I come into notes, I can actually add an attachment. You'll see that little paper clip there. And I can, basically pull that attachment from my camera, my photo library, or my document library, which is really useful. I can also just categorize the note, whether it's an email, phone, or meeting. So if I've taken a call and I just want to capture that while I'm out and about, it'll write back to Console Cloud, which is really useful. And, you can also add pinned notes from here. I'm just going to write a quick note. Took a call from Helen. Phone. I can save it. And then I can actually also pin that note. And that'll keep it up the top. So it won't follow the chronological order of all my other notes.
That's right.
So just a little enhancement there. I'm just going to go into my settings. I'm going to call out a couple of settings specifically to Console Go before we talk about inspections. So just here in the settings, this little settings line, if I click on that, there's a couple of things that you can turn on. You can turn on caller identification. So rather than saving your tenants and owners' phone numbers to your phone directory, you can actually have their number pop up because it knows it's from Console Go. So, great little time saving. It's pretty easy. I'm using iOS here. It works exactly the same in Android. I can also sync my inspections if I am using inspections. So I can actually sync my inspections to my calendar. So there's a little sync button, and they'll add them directly into my, my calendar. While I'm on this screen, I will just talk about photo quality. Just some feedback that we've seen through the service channel. You actually have control over the quality of the photos that you take if you are using Console Go Inspect, which is our inspection add-on. By default, you'll have the default setting, which are good quality photos, but they're small file size. You can actually have a higher quality photo by just changing that setting. So very simple. We use the native phone app. So we use, we don't have any magic around it. We're using your either your phone on your Apple or the phone on your Android. But this is one place where you can control the quality of the photos that are coming through for your inspections. I'm just going to touch on a couple of other things. I think, yeah, it's this property. Obviously, if you've got a new property that's come through, it's the first time that you've inspected that property, which is this one for me, 82 Bay Terrace. I can actually use the quick setup wizard to just basically pull a template through. So I don't have to, fiddle adding heaps of properties and property spaces. So I'm just going to call this a house. It's a 3-bedroom. And you can see I've got the capability just to, tick on what I want to add into my inspections. This one actually has a study, but it doesn't have a media room. And I can save that, and that will now be available for me in the inspection, which is really, really useful. And then it's just all the same capability that's already in cloud. You can reorder. You can do all the things that you need to do to, make your inspections as seamless as possible. I think, just a couple of other little quality of life improvements. I'm just going to save and close and just go back to the home screen. Look, from your app, you can now add contacts with the click of a button. So I've just hit the plus button up here. I can add a new contact. It'll sync back to my cloud instance, which is really useful, both individual and business. I can also just add maintenance and inspections on the fly, which is really useful. So Console Go continues to be updated and upgraded. Our vision is to make this Console Cloud in the palm of your hand. So all the workflows will continue to get improvements in the app. And yeah, inspections is obviously a big part of property management, and we're continuing to invest in our inspections app to make your life easier.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go into statements, Helen?
Yes, I do.
Rid of that.
Thank you. So last time we held a webinar, we showed you a design of what the statements were going to look like, but now I'm pleased to say that they are built. So we'll take a look at, this is a single owner statement. So where an owner has one property, or you've set the system up to show one property per statement. And I will just explain too, the reason that this hasn't been rolled out yet is because we've taken feedback and learned from our clients over the years. And we understand that when we're making changes to parts of the system, like statements that affect your clients, you like to have a little bit of control around when you release those and when that change occurs for your business. So we are currently working on adding an office setting, or setting where you can control
when you turn it on.
Exactly, like whether and when you want to adopt the new statement format. So once that setting is ready, which is underway currently, we'll be releasing these statements to initially an early release group and then rolling them out to everyone. And you'll have the choice when you start to use them. So one other thing we'll also be doing is providing you with some information that you can pass on to your owners to help explain how the new statement layout looks, so that you don't have to field all of the questions yourselves. Now, if we just have a look at this, it's very similar actually to our end of financial year statements, which we got some really great feedback on. So you can see here, there's a really clear outline at the top for an owner of all the money that's coming in and going out. We can also see that the ownership is clearly displayed here, and just generally the statement layout is much nicer. And if we have a look, if you have an owner that owns more than one property and you've chosen to configure the system to consolidate those properties into one statement, this is again very similar layout. with the band at the top giving you the summary. And you'll see things like we've moved and grouped the ownership of all the properties to the top. So you can see the property summary really clearly. And these are the properties that are then outlined in this statement. So yeah, that is coming soon. We are planning a beta in July, but if you do want to have a look at this earlier, the office setting will actually be ready sooner. So if you're keen to get a look at this before the end of this financial year, just pop a note in the Q&A and we can get in touch with you to join that early release group. One other thing I wanted to also talk about today is an extra security layer that we've added to cloud. So that rolled out just at the beginning of this week, and it's called Recapture. And it was designed actually to just be very unobtrusive. So you may not have encountered it yet, and it will really only be noticed if you're using another computer, for example, that you don't normally use to log into cloud, or maybe you're using your computer in a different location. Recapture will identify that. It might flag it as suspicious. So just to confirm that you're a real person, you might get a pop-up like you will have seen on similar other platforms. You might get a grid to identify all of the sidewalks or all of the bicycles. So really simple extra layer of security that shouldn't interrupt your day, but it just gives you some comfort that, yeah, we've got those extra checks in place.
Yeah, just making sure machines aren't trying to, force login.
That's right. And just a reminder too, in cloud, we do have the choice for you to implement two-factor authentication. And this is something that we recommend. It's really simple. It's just a case of downloading an authenticator app. Some of these are free and really easy to use. You scan the barcode and then cloud will message, will sync with the authenticator app, and the app will give you an ID to put in every time you log into cloud, just to make sure that you are actually who your credentials say you are. Yeah. So yeah, extra protection that you should be.
We've been talking about this for a few webinars now, and it's just been great to see the number of offices activating 2FA.
That's right. And last couple of things that we'll run through, I just want to jump in again. We'll have a look at some of the trust accounting improvements. So if I find a tenant here, one of the changes that we'll be releasing very soon, again, it's just with select clients at the moment, is if you have console pay and you schedule recurring outgoings invoices, the system, if you set the schedule up aligning with your rent frequency, will combine those amounts into one console pay debit. So that's an option to save some fees, which will be coming very soon. And if we just have a look at some of the other improvements that we'll be rolling out shortly, or actually this one's already in, you can now choose when you're setting your recurring outgoings, the frequency, you can now set that as weekly or fortnightly. So previously, Matt, that was just monthly.
Yeah. So
again, just a little bit more flexibility. And if we have a look a little further down, we now will have the option to pay an outgoing amount directly to a creditor. So this is where I would set my creditor. So for example, if I had a tenant who was responsible for paying the mowing, but my business was managing that for them, I could set up a recurring outgoings invoice. And when that's brought in, it will be paid directly to the creditor. So again, just a little bit of extra flexibility. And one last thing on this, if you have both rent and outgoings, you can choose now to either combine those into one invoice or have them sent separately as separate invoices and even on different schedules. So yeah, flexibility and control. Now, lastly, I'll just jump into our advertising workflow because we've mentioned cloud now can push listings to your Agent Point website. So if I have a look at this property.
And updates to the listing.
Yes, and updates to the listing, absolutely. Once that's configured, I'll see Agent Point in my list here. Just tick the box and publish. So yeah, really simple. So if you have an Agent Point website, and that's not already set up, just reach out to our team. We'll get that set up for you because it does make managing your listings really easy. And that was it for the demos. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks. Just go back into our presentation. And we'll look at our Q4 roadmap. So we're into Q4 now. So this work has commenced, and we'll talk about some of these things The first thing that chat about is the Agent Box to console integration. It's a really big, important piece of work. Agent Box with 3,000 customers, console with 2,500 customers. It's really about sharing workflows across those products to make sure that our businesses are never missing a listing from our property management business, never missing a management from our sales business. So we'll show you what that actually looks like and the work that's commenced in that space. Communications, we're going to have a bit of a sneak peek of Inbox and where we're taking that. Console Go, there's some increased functionality that actually will be released in the next couple of weeks. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule on that one that I'll take you through. We know 1 in 4 of our customers manages commercial properties. And we've had a lot of feedback around our commercial module, and we're making some major steps forward in addressing some of that feedback, which we're really excited about. So there's a couple of commercial improvements scheduled for this quarter, but we have ongoing work in that space, really till the end of the year. And we've got some workflow improvements around, one of our major workflows, which is our lease renewal workflow and console pay. So let's have a look at a couple of the sneak peeks. First one, quite small, but important, kind of shows the direction that we're moving on with our app, but the ability to send a work order directly from Console Go. So you'll get all the information relevant to a maintenance, like your owner instructions, your spend limits, who the preferred tradie is, and you'll actually be able just to schedule that or send that work order out directly from your app. So you can log the maintenance and, send out the work order, which is really, really useful. I showed you templates just before. We're continuing to refine templates and make templates, even better. And those templates will be very specific and more detailed. So, for example, if you're a residential unit manager and you've just, won the rights to a new building, a lot of those properties are configured the same. You'll be able to have a master template that you'll be able to create over and over again for your inspections. So again, just trying to help you save time on the setup and move, get those inspections happening. Going to touch on the cloud to Agent Box integration and just share some of the screens so you can really get a feel for where that's moving over the next 3 to 4 months. The first one is, we never want to miss a listing or a sale from our property management team. So facilitating a referral between our sales and PM departments. The example we'll use is your owner might have indicated they want to repaint the house, and through conversations, you kind of get an understanding that they're looking to sell the property. Now, rather than just putting a sticky note on the salesperson's desk, you can actually facilitate a request for appraisal through Console Cloud. And that information will then appear directly into Agent Box as a new prospecting task. And then your sales team or your salesperson can actually use that information to start ensuring you win the listing, which is really, really useful. The next part is making sure that if your sales team gets wind that the buyer is an investor, that we win that management for our property management team. So sales going through, the buyer's indicated that they're an investor, that gets flagged in Agent Box. The Agent Box, your sales team, your team in the sales department, win that management. Your BDM wins that management. That information will be passed directly into Console Cloud, no double keying, and it will just flow into that particular flow between the products. Really, really simple. I think this is really cool, and I think this is an important one. It's about just linking data sets between our two systems. Prospector is a much loved module within Agent Box, and what we are doing in this little area here is we're highlighting in a different color all of the properties in our area that are managed by our agency, so that our sales team, it's a different approach if they're part of the same agency. So they know when they're prospecting in certain locations, who's an investor that's already with our business, which is really great capability. And I think for our property management, just extending on the prospector module, through that integration with Agent Box, it'll actually allow you to market. You leverage Agent Box's marketing tools to market differently to your existing owners. So as that information comes through, you'll be able to, send out information relevant, customized to properties that are under management, where it might be a free appraisal or,
new listing. Yeah,
or a
if
new
your sales
listing.
team has a new listing you want to share with your existing investors, you can do that.
So yeah, this is the work that's underway at the moment. We've done a lot of research, and thank you to our, to all of our clients who've participated in that research. This one is, a little bit further along the lines, but it's really about bringing, if you're a Console Cloud customer, you'll be familiar with these screens. This is our Analytics Plus platform. Our intention here is to bring data relevant from sales and property management together in a single dashboard. So you can see where your listings are coming from, how much your rent roll has been sold through your sales team, how much of your rent roll has grown through your sales team, just to help inform, some of your future business decisions. So again, just bringing those products together and, hopefully, our intention is to help grow your business. We never want you to miss a sale from your rent roll, and we never want to miss a management from our sales team. One of our largest workflows, Helen, we've got some enhancements coming down the pipeline here.
We do. So in the next quarter, we have started work actually on some feedback that we've had from a lot of clients. So we know that this will be hotly anticipated. In the lease renewal workflow, we'll be adding, if you can see on the screen there, that blue box is showing when the last rent change occurred and the amount of that rent change. So that will be right there embedded in your lease renewal workflow. So when you're making decisions around increasing or decreasing a tenant's rent, when you're managing that lease renewal, you'll have all the information that you need to make that decision right in front of you. So there's no toggling back and forth to the lease agreement, to the tenancy agreement. You can see it all right there. And not only the most recent, but any upcoming rent reviews that are scheduled. That's particularly important for areas where there's legislation around how often you can change a tenant's rent. So yeah, making sure that you have that in front of you is really important. So that's coming soon. And there's a button towards the bottom of that screen there that you'll see. That's right, a checkbox, which will allow you to also update the tenancy agreement immediately with any new rent amount and the date that that's scheduled to occur. And we're including that because we have heard from you that it's difficult sometimes to get the leases signed back from tenants in time or before a rent change is due to occur. So what this little checkbox does is allow you to set that up and automatically update the tenancy agreement so that that rent change doesn't get missed on the date that it's been scheduled while you're still following up with the tenant to get that lease back in.
Thanks, Helen. I just realized I need to go back here to show you this, which is our inbox enhancements. So this is a view of inbox, just so you know what's coming up over the next couple of quarters, but you'll gradually start to see this transition into Console Cloud. We're taking a different approach with inbox. It's not just about replying to the email, it's about managing the email. So we know that communications is 90% of our jobs as property managers. All of our workflows require communications. So we're investing heavily to link communications and workflows together, both inbound and outbound. So you can see these will be threaded comms. I'm getting some context around the email. I'm just going to scroll through this and just talk to a couple of points. You'll be able to reassign communications for when people are ill or away on leave. I can see the portfolio that this particular communication belongs to. I can set my assignment rules. Now, this is really where workflows and communications collide. And our intention here is to be able to kick off workflows from the communication. So we're going to use this example because it's quite topical. I've received a bill and I've actually started my bill processing that bill. And I'm getting an update relevant to this bill in my communications timeline. I know where it is. It's being processed at the moment. And as we scroll down, we can see the back and forward about the communications. I can see some notes also relevant to this particular communication. I'm seeing status updates on the workflow. So everything is here. Owners contact. And the intention, like I mentioned, is really to bring workflows and communications into a single view so that you don't have to keep moving between screens. This was a bills example, but obviously we're doing some similar things with all of our other workflows, arrears, maintenance, and renewals as we work through the next couple of quarters. So really excited about the direction that we're heading with communications. Hope you're excited as well. That actually concludes our presentation. We've got some time just to take some questions. I'll just stop sharing and we'll just take these questions live. The first one, Helen, and I'll take this one, is when can I get Inbox? Look, like we've mentioned, it's with our early adopter group. Before we generally release products, we like, to test these things with our key users. If you're interested in the new financial year, we're always looking to open up our early adopter group. So please feel free to reach out. And when we feel that product's fully baked, we'll make it available to everybody.
That's correct. And Matt, as we covered, there are some elements of, of that work that are making their way into cloud as we go along. So that email body view that you can now see on the timelines was a component of that we've been able to just release on its own. So you will see some things slipping in.
Yeah, great. Just had a couple of questions about console pay, and I saw that Kent and Brooke have also answered some online, but how do I get it? Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. It's really easy to sign up. There is a little compliance piece that needs to be done. Usually only takes a couple of days. So to kick it off, if you go to your menu in cloud and click console pay, there's an activate button. It'll ask you a few questions. If you fill out those answers and upload some documentation, identity documentation, we'll reach out to you. And usually within a couple of days, we can have you activated.
Awesome. And when will we see the IRE integration live?
That is going to beta in the next week, and it will be live, we expect, next month.
Great.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for your attention. Like an hour flies by. We've got a couple of open questions that we'll just answer before we shut the webinar off. We're looking forward to coming back in 3 months and showing you the progress on our roadmap as we just presented to you. And moving some of those things from prototypes or graphics to actual functionality in the system.
That's right. And one thing just before we wrap up, if you did see something today that you can't see in cloud, just remember there are some things that are with early release groups. They'll be released to everyone very soon. And keep an eye out for our product updates, because like Matt said earlier, we can't cover everything in this presentation. So the product updates are sent out regularly, and they're a really good recap of all the features that we're adding to cloud month to month.
Thanks, guys. We'll stay online for a little bit while I answer these questions, and the recording will be sent out either this afternoon or tomorrow.
Yeah. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.